let's get started. All right, now I need to share about my son James. As I told y'all many times before, my mother and my son was had shared the same birthday, and my mother always she loved that so much. My son James Philip Jones was born on July 11th, 1988 in the city of Pittsburgh, McGee Hospital. That's where everybody went at that time. You know what's funny though? I just found out the other day from my granddaughter, Fendi Bag, and I do remember that. I recall, like when I had James in the hospital, um, it was Elijah's, her man. His mother was in the hospital same time having him. That's something. And then him and Fendi end up being mates years later. But yes, I do remember that. Fendi remind me of that because Elijah's mother had told, I guess, him and Fendi or whatever. But yes, I do remember that. I think he was born a day before James, what everybody call him now, Jizz. All right, but Jizz is my James, okay? James, I think James would have been 38 today. But sadly, his life was snuffed out on a humbug at the age of 17. And that's my dog chasing people. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. He won't come in the house. You know, I don't know what to do with him. But I'm going to think of something to do with him. But nevertheless, he done took some seconds off of my talk. But nevertheless, yes, James was my loud child. From the time he was born, he always, he cried loud. When he was a toddler, he talked loud. And don't let him get upset as a teenager. Oh, yeah. He hollered loud. I call him my loud child. James' idol was his brother, Harry. And also my son, Don, his idol was his brother, Harry. That was their older brother. But James, James Philip Jones. He got Philip is his dad's name, and from what I understand, Philip's dad's name was James. From what I'm not sure, but I believe I'm right. Well, like I said, James was 7 pounds and I think 19 inches long. And he was a good baby. He didn't really cry. None of my kids was no crybabies. For real, they weren't. Nevertheless, the memories of the good, the bad, the ugly, I treasure everything. But James, he could say that word, all of them, mom, mom, yeah. So I went as far as I could with my kids, and especially James. He loved, all of my sons loved being at their sister Michelle's house. He loved being at her house, no matter where she was at. But James had friends. I mean, he had a lot of friends, and I'm fortunate that he went out there and he found the real friends, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately for my third son, he found all the wrong friends, trying to search for good old bro and good old cuz. But James didn't have too much of a problem with finding friends. None of my sons did. But at the time of James' younger brother, Don, it wasn't no real friends out there no more. So I know James he loved his dad. His dad. He talked about him a lot as a youngster. He always talked about, I know his dad used to try to make him rough. And I used to get upset because he wanted, come here, he gonna punch him. No, don't punch my baby. Oh, he gonna be a man. He ain't gonna be no punk head. Yeah, but James loves music. And the most thing I want to say about James, I know after I lost all my sons, everybody would ask me time after time, they would say, did any of your sons have kids? And for years, I was saying, nah, none of them had kids. Because, they all left this world before they was even 20. And the same way I birthed them in the world was the same order they left out of this world. But I need to say, last year in July, that's the month of when I birthed James, July of 2025, I put the pedal to the metal. And I found a young lady, and he have a beautiful young daughter. But check it out. It was 20 years later, finally, God seemed fit to find a way that I can be sure and have this here in my life. So in July, me and her got together. We did the DNA test. A week later, oh yeah, I think it was like, what, 98 or 97%. You know, I had to take tests, and you know that was on money because he wasn't here, but it was 98, 97%. And I was so thankful. And I know he would have been so happy to have a kid. All of my sons, well, mainly him and Dawn. But my son Harry, he was in his rap world. He wasn't really about the kid deal. He could have been, but no, he was just tied up in his music. And he had a lot of girls, you know. But I know James, he was in love with a girl named Ashley Vinay. Ashley Vinay was his pick. And I'm telling you, he loved her till the day he died. And actually, when James left this world, he thought that Ashley was pregnant, you know, but he found, I mean, that's what he died thinking. But nevertheless, I know that as a toddler, James loved Christmas. I lived in Munhall at the time, and I would come to my mother's house in Duquesne, and at that time, cops really wasn't after you when you're driving, you know, like Forrest. I had him on my lap. I didn't even care. I had him on my lap driving, and I would go the long route home so he can look at all the Christmas lights. You know, we go up in the White District. That's where they really had it laid out, you know. So on the way home, I would go the long route. And every Christmas light he seen, he was so happy. He was so happy, you know, just, you know, and I enjoyed seeing him so happy. He loved Christmas. So if I was to say, well, what is his James' favorite holiday? It was Christmas. Yes, it was. And for him his life to be stolen away and murdered 2 weeks before Christmas, that was an extra hurt piece for me. See, we as mothers or fathers, or I'm speaking from a mother angle, all them little pieces mean something to me. And I knew how James loved Christmas. And when, you know, when it happened so close to Christmas, Christmas never was the same for me. No, it never was. Never was. That year of Jane's death, I didn't even put up a Christmas tree. The last minute, I said, okay, I'm going to try to do something. I got some garland and made a Christmas tree on my wall. It's so much about James I could talk about. I guess James, I've got a little bit more, but I'm just saying, yeah, James, the only one my son Dawn would listen to when Harry left this world was James. Like I said, that was my loud child. And he loved his family. And he loved his twin, Ebony. Yeah, don't mess with his sister, Ebony. And then when he got older and could go to Michelle's house and all that, he would always, all of my sons wanted to hang out wherever Michelle was. You know, that was their favorite aunt. But I do want to say that I miss James a lot. I miss all my sons. I miss all my people a lot. But James and my mother's birthday was on the same day. And James would have been 38 years old today. So I'm hoping that some of those friends, what he had, will remember it. Send a shout out. Heavenly birthday for James. Because he didn't have to leave. None of them. It was all senselessly. I think at the hearing, the boy said, oh, he wasn't supposed to be there. Oh, wow. Ain't that a good thought now? My son was gone. He wasn't going to celebrate no more earthly birthdays. So I want to say happy heavenly birthday again and again to my son, James. And I'll be right back.